Hello artist! Today we are going to be making a textured background for a picture that's going to end up being a flower picture. So the first thing we do is always the same. We write down our "you better have just said" name. So I imagine we will have talked about this in class, but this is a texture plate. On top of it is real texture. There are real bumps. We're going to use real texture to create fake texture. Fake texture has a special name, actually. It's called implied texture. What is it called? You better have just said implied texture. That again is fake texture. So I'm going to take a real piece of texture. There are so many things we can do. These are special texture plates, but I bet if you look around the art room or even yourself, you can find things to make some texture with too. You are going to need to use crayons. The best kind of crayons are naked crayons, crayons that don't have any paper around them, because you need to put them onto their side and go back and forth, trying to keep the texture plate steady. Oops, mine just moved. And it's going to create implied texture, because my paper is really just smooth, but it looks textury. So you can move the texture plates around, you can change colors, you can add as many different versions of texture as you want. Enjoy, have fun. Now, if you don't have any crayons that don't have paper, then you can sort of tilt your crayon down, and it doesn't work as nicely, but you can do it that way. All right, I'm gonna switch and use a different texture plate, and you're gonna fill your whole paper with texture, even if your texture overlaps. That means goes on top of other texture plates. Have fun, experiment with your implied texture. I'm gonna do another color. All right, here we go. Okay, once you are done experimenting and your paper is full of lovely bits of texture, you are going to then paint it. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna stop right there, and I'm going to paint, you're gonna have 3 colors. They might be different than the colors that you see on the video, but you are going to paint half of your paper one color and the bottom half another color. One is going to represent the wall, and one is going to represent the table that we are going to eventually put some flowers on. Now I'm gonna start with just half, okay? Remember that I always recommend tracing the shape and then fill it in. So in this case, I made a long skinny rectangle that covers half of my paper. I'll paint that the other half. And then I'm going to fill it in. Now the texture is just gonna end up being like a little peekaboo. You can see it, but maybe not super great. But while this paint is wet, so I'm gonna work on just half of it at a time. It has to be wet. I'm going to add some more implied texture with my texture makers. Remember these? You lay them on the paper, tilt them down, and then drag them. You can make whatever the patterns you want. And then when you're done, if you've got some goo on it, just wipe it on that towel. All right, I need to paint the top, so remember your painting rules. You swoosh, you don't splash. You wipe, you don't whack. And then you blot your paintbrush on your towel to reform it and get it ready. All right, and I'll go ahead and paint the top half and do the exact same type of thing. Trace the rectangle. Golly, I feel like I'm going super duper fast. And then paint her in. So you'll only end up using 2 colors on your painting. And then tomorrow or the next art class, I will show you how to finish this. So again, I'm going to take a different texture maker. You can add some more implied texture. with your other texture makers. All right, folks, I need to go wash up. I need to make sure I swoosh, wipe, and blot my brush, and you get ready to make some art today. Happy arting.